So because you are pre-diabetic though, you're probably going to see, which means you have more aggressive insulin resistance. As that insulin resistance is healing, and then you're going to see some point within a period of time where it's going to really kick in. So I hate making people count calories. Trust me, it's like the worst thing ever. It sucks. And it's not sustainable. But there is a skill that you develop for taking at least one time in your life, maybe one time every couple years, where you count calories. So fasting, you guys saw, I broke it down into stages, right? So stage 1 is your intermittent. So all of us can start there. You can progress yourself as fast as you feel comfortable doing so. That's the important thing you guys need to understand. Pre-diabetes is obviously, unfortunately with medical doctors, when they first tell you there's a problem, right? And the reality is you're probably learning now that the problem's been going on for 3 to 5 years. So, but you're in that stage where it's very, very correctable. And this program will just as much fix that and correct that, get you out of that, as it's going to take care of everything else. So because you are pre-diabetic though, you're probably going to see, which means you have more aggressive insulin resistance. That's what that means. So you're probably going to see a little bit of a slower start to your weight loss, just to give you a heads up. As that insulin resistance is healing, and then you're going to see some point within a period of time where it's going to really kick in. So just a heads up for that.
Okay.
Do you happen to know how many calories you average per day, or no clue at all?
Have no clue.
Okay, no, totally. That's totally an acceptable answer, right? Have you ever counted calories in the past, or no, never really?
Not really.
Okay. So great example here. So I hate making people count calories. Trust me, it's like the worst thing ever. It sucks. And it's not sustainable. But there is, if you read my section on counting calories, there is a skill that you develop for taking at least one time in your life, maybe one time every couple years, where you count calories and you do it, and you learn a lot. You really just learn more appreciation for the density that sometimes you probably had no clue before, how dense, calorically speaking, some foods are. And what I call that is that calorie counting intuition. So if we are going to do a reset, guys, you have to count calories. If you're not, but you've never counted calories, you should do that for 3 weeks anyways, just to develop that intuition. So okay, so you've never counted calories before. So Gloria,
Mhm.
you likely, let me ask you the next question. For the last 2 to 6 weeks, have you been trying to eat less and exercise more, or you really haven't started anything? And this is your first starting point for any sort of weight loss measures?
I started eating less and trying to exercise.
Okay. And when did you start that?
About last week.
Okay. So prior to a week before, you were just kind of doing your thing.
Hmm.
So for you, interesting situation. We don't know if you need to do a reset because I don't know how much you've been eating. So it's okay though,
Okay.
because this is what. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start counting your calories, and after a couple days of counting your calories, you are going to let us know. You text us as soon as you realize, oh wow, I've been averaging this much. Let us know on the Flow hotline. Now, in your case, it's also very unique because you just made a change 1 week ago. So
Hmm.
let's say you're severely under eating now. Well, it's only been a week. So everything we're talking about right now is being documented. So still, let us know once you realize how much you've been averaging. And then you're probably going to be able to look back and say, wow, I'm averaging 1,500 now, but I was probably averaging 2,000 or whatever it was. So you got pre-diabetic as well. Mm, okay. So Carla, where are you at as far as calories? Have you ever counted before?
I have, I just haven't in a long time, if I'm
Okay.
being honest. But
No, yeah, please.
yeah.
If
But
you
I have
had to,
been doing intermittent fasting, and so I um from like 11 to 6 or 7, and I'm only eating twice a day. I have a
yeah,
feeling I'm not eating enough. I think.
yeah. When you start going down to one or two meals, sometimes that happens. If you had to just guess, how many calories do you think you're probably getting just from your experience in the past?
Oh gosh. Probably anywhere from 14 to 16.
Okay.
Maybe.
So let's do a reset. And let's start at 1,500. So for the next week, that's going to be your target. 1500. And like I was saying to everybody earlier, especially, if I tell you we're going to do a reset, reread that section, make sure you're very clear. You're going to be texting the Flow Hotline every single week, and we're going to be working with you. You're going to be paying attention to those symptoms that I described in the form, the brain fog, the energy. We want to see if things get better. Even if you didn't realize there's a problem, if you start realizing, oh, wow, I feel like I have more energy, or I'm thinking a little better, or I'm pooping a little bit more often, this is good. This means your body is liking what we're doing. So pay attention to that, and then we'll work with you to get you through the reset.
Okay.
Fantastic. Any questions on your starting point for that?
Is this part where we start keto, like strict keto?
Yeah,
Right
we're gonna
now?
go over nutrition and fasting next.
Okay.
So yes, you absolutely can start keto, but not crazy fasting, and that's what we're gonna talk about next. All right, Jeannie. All right, you got some BPC and KPV. Great choice, because you got also, with ulcerative colitis and that kind of, like, the gut inflammation is huge with any sort of autoimmune disease. So I think that's going to do really well for you on the BPC KPV. I would also, and we're going to talk about supplements, Jeannie, but I would also add some of the gut healing supplements as well. And we'll talk more about it when we get there, but there's a whole section that says gut healing protocol. So I would definitely add that to your arsenal, just because you're already dealing with that. You've got some powerful gut healers. So now you just want to give your gut the nutrients that it could use to rebuild that barrier. The main one being the glutamine. So okay. And Jeannie, you've never done the GLPs, I see.
Right.
Okay. Do you happen to know how many calories you think you average, or no clue?
I have no idea.
Totally. And
And
have
I'm
you
the
ever
black
counted?
sheep of the group. I have diabetes.
Okay. So are you so you're already taking at least some diabetic lowering medications?
Yes, I was diagnosed in November, but I haven't been to doctor in so long. I know I've had it for so long. It was kind of a crisis that alerted me. So I was on Trulicity, but my hair started falling out. And I don't know if it was from that. And then it had me on insulin because my A1C was over 9. And I think that was it. There's a few other things, but it wasn't diabetes related. And then my PCP approved Mounjaro, so I have the tirzepatide. I said,
Okay.
I'm gonna try that. I didn't tell her I was involved in a different program. I just said I want to try something different. And
Okay.
then I also said I would like to try the slow release metformin. I know that's nothing to do with you, but I just didn't know. And I still have insulin. I just don't even use it. I only needed it at night if my blood sugar was a certain amount in the morning. And then she just wanted me to take something for the overnight.
So it sounds like you are being very proactive and just taking matters into your own hand, which I love. I love. Obviously, you have to know what you're doing. Like
Right.
You know what I mean? Because this is a big deal when we're talking about stuff that can lower your blood sugar.
Right.
It could create some potentially dangerous situations. So, is your doctor still involved in terms of, like, at least aware of what you're on and your dosing, or?
Well, yes, I mean, right now I'm not I didn't take any Mounjaro yet because I wanted to wait. And I just didn't want to start something and have any side effects. I just didn't know. I was just waiting to talk to you and then to kind of get things going. I just started the metformin, that's it. And not
Yeah.
even at the highest dose. I'm taking a little bit. I'm going to segue into that. I don't really take the insulin because I think I can reduce this without taking that.
What was your last A1C? Do you remember?
It was 9.2.
And how long ago was that?
That was not even a month ago.
Okay.
I haven't done
So,
anything really. I mean, I shouldn't say I haven't done anything. My A1C in January was 13.
okay.
And so it's down. And so, but I obviously have a ways to go.
So, Ceci, let's get her set up with an additional call with me, just because there's a lot of solo stuff I want to talk to you about. Just your
Right.
situation's a little unique. So next week, I do want you to and need you to have a good relationship with that doctor. Sounds like at least you do have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk more about this on a private call. But basically, we need that doctor to look at the A1C, look at the full history, and from their perspective, tell you this is the amount of medications you need. there's so many different apps you can do to count calories. There's so many different ways. Like my favorite is MyFitnessPal, but there's so many apps. Yeah, you just got to find one that you're comfortable with. Some people do it old school and write it on a, notebook. Some people write it in their notes on their phone. I think the apps are the easiest way to go, MyFitnessPal. And then we have a video that we found on YouTube for you guys, and we put it there. So, since some of you guys are in a situation where we don't know yet if you're going to officially start with a reset. So keep this in mind. You're going to text us and we're going to confirm. If you are in a reset, the only alteration to the protocol is in the fasting. We're not going to pass stage 1 of fasting. If you're not in a reset, you can do everything. You can go into the aggressive stages as fast as you comfortably can. But if you're in a reset, you stick with stage 1 fasting. And we're going to explain those stages here in a second until we get through the reset. Then we get you through it. And then you can continue on with the deeper stages of fasting. That's the only difference. Everything else stays the same. Doesn't matter. That's just the one little tweak. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay. So fasting, you guys saw, I broke it down into stages, right? So stage 1 is your intermittent. So all of us can start there. That's just your daily window of eating. Your first calories consumed, last calories consumed, compressing that to 8 hours. That's the starting point. Then the people in the reset, you're going to stick with that. If you're not in a reset, then we can start pushing. As soon as we're comfortable, if you're comfortable immediately, you can go to stage 2. You can progress yourself as fast as you feel comfortable doing so. That's the important thing you guys need to understand. The stage 2 is the 24-hour range, right? That's like a dinner to dinner fast. And you want to get to the point where you can do 2 of those spread apart, like a 3-day apart in a week. If you want to do that for 1 week, if you want to do that for 2 weeks, whatever you feel comfortable with, once you feel great, I can progress past that. That's where you move on to stage 3. And this is the flow stage. This is where things get like, all right, this is a big jump here. This is where you're going to go to sleep, not having eaten all day since the prior day. Obviously in your case, if you're on diabetic lowering medications, that's where we're going to talk more, Jeannie, in depth with you, because some slight alterations for you. But for everybody else, the only thing you're on that's lowering your blood sugar is the GLP, and the fasting. The fasting will lower your blood sugar too. So, you're going to feel weird that first day where it's like, you ate dinner Monday night, you're going to bed Tuesday night, you haven't eaten all day. I get it. The fact that you're on the tirzepatide, it should make it a lot easier. If you're on the AOD, that's going to help a lot too as well. You wake up the next morning and now you're 34 hours or more into your fast, 36. Once you can get through that hump, you do that only once a week because that's very long. That's 30 plus hours. And then what you're doing is every week you're trying to increase that till you can get to a 48. And then you just lock in that 48 and keep that going consistently. Later on the program, there's points where we talk about varying it, switching it up, keeping your body on its toes, but you'll worry about that later as you continue and learn more throughout the protocol. But that's the main thing. That's the main takeaway, is progressing yourself as comfortably, as quickly as you can till you can get to that point where you're fasting for 48 hours once per week. Ideally, you're still doing your intermittent on the other 5 days, eating enough on those 5 days. I can't stress that enough. Once you are fasting for 48 hours, you cannot undereat on the other days. If you fast for 48 and then undereat, you'll plateau, and you'll plateau fast, right? If you guys can tell, what we're doing here is we're being very strategic. We are trying to get our week's worth of fat loss in 2 days, get all the benefits of the massive fasting, what it does for us, resensitize ourselves to insulin. And then we have to get enough protein and nutrients and calories on the other 5 days. This is how we prevent a plateau from happening. Because if you just restrict your calories every day, that's what creates a plateau. So nutrition, this is where what I'm trying to do with nutrition, and I think it's so important, is teaching you guys how to function in the world with food, meaning be able to make your own choices. That's why I stay away from, here's your list of foods, or, order this. I have found that becomes problematic when you're out in the real world and you're not able to choose from your food, or you're at a restaurant. Like it's not sustainable, and it can create a lot of anxiety, I've seen. So teaching you the basics of what we're trying to accomplish, and then letting you go out there, make the choices, and then us seeing, wow, I'm not following a restrictive diet and I'm still losing weight. Like, this is good, right? This is very positive. So the rules that you read about, number one, eating less processed foods. Nobody's having a discussion about whether this is important or not. We know how important, it is to avoid processed food. So the 90-10 rule, you do your best. I still want you to have some life. I still want you to have some junk food, some wiggle room. 90% keep it clean, and 10% that includes your alcohol, that's your sugar, that's all the bad stuff. For the first couple months, we're going to modify this, and we are going to go keto. We are going to go low carb. I know somebody was asking that question earlier. It doesn't need to be ultra low, testing ketones, none of that. Just go as low carb as you can. If you do like to quantify it, 30 to 50 grams of net carbs is that ideal range. We're going to be doing this for these. Yeah, per day.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. And this is a lot of aggressive lifestyle, the 48-hour fast, the intermittent, the low carb. This is why we get some miraculous stuff done with this protocol, because there is no protocol out there that has this much stuff that all directly act on healing insulin resistance. It's very, very magical what I've seen happen by doing this. We just got to get through it, right? And the tirzepatide and the AOD, these are the tools that help. So paleo Mediterranean, these are just examples of low processed food diets, but there's probably a lot of foreign food that falls in its own category. So I don't care what it is. We just 90% unprocessed. So this is like your perimeter of the grocery store. Your fruits, your vegetables, your legumes, less legumes in the beginning, nuts and things like that. I'm okay with some fruit, lower amount. Honestly, berries are probably your go-to. They taste sweet, and they're actually pretty low on sugar and extremely high in nutrition as well. So the other parts of the food is the protein requirements. That's huge. If you count one macronutrient, count protein, because you got to hit your protein goals in order to prevent muscle mass loss alongside weight training. So simple formula. What is your target weight? So let's say you weigh 200 and you should weigh about 150. Then you should be shooting for between 150 to 200 grams of protein a day. Ideally from whole food, but supplement when necessary. So protein powder when necessary to hit your goals is a must.